Americans are making a lot of money in stocks. The stock market soared to near record highs yesterday.
The stock market continued its bull run Thursday. The Dow rose at nearly 61 points.
Even the person with very little disposable income all of a sudden began to play in the stock market because nobody could fail, because stock prices were just going up and up and up.
Another day, another record.
And the internet and technology stocks just going wild.
Gained more than 100 points to close at 7,895.81, the highest finish ever.
It was a time where we had the biggest bull market in the history of the world. Ken Lay was right there acting as a cheerleader.
Obviously, our stock has been doing very well. I think there's a fairly good chance we could see this stock price double again over the next year to 18 months.
Enron mounted a campaign to capture the hearts and minds of stock analysts.
The natural gas stocks include Enron.
We're never satisfied, and I don't want us to ever be satisfied with the stock price. It should always be higher.
Enron posted a 30% jump in second quarter profits as web-based trading boosted its wholesale energy business.
The game was played on Wall Street in such an established way throughout the 1990s. As long as a company met or exceeded the analysts' projections for quarterly earnings per share, the stock went higher.
The game was called pump and dump. Top execs would push the stock price up and then cash in their multi-million-dollar options.
People at Enron got paid in large part through stock. Everyone had a huge stake in seeing the stock price go up. And it was driven very clearly by the profits every single quarter. They're exceedingly conscious of that. Skilling was, and everyone else in the company was. They posted the stock price in the elevator.
You were surrounded by the health of the company. What's the stock price doing? We were consumed by it.
This company was fixated on its stock price and fixated on a massive public relations campaign to convince the investment community that they were new, different, innovative, almost heralding a new era of corporate enterprise.
Come work for us. We encourage our people to do new things, try new things, experiment, step out. We begin by attracting the kind of people that are more comfortable in an environment of change.
You know, when you work for Enron, you're going to see the newest thinking. You're going to see the newest markets opening up.
Enron Online, a fabulous, fabulous story. Probably put on.
They were so good at their acting that they convinced corporate America that they were smarter than anyone else.
Alan, with our sincere thanks and admiration, we are pleased and indeed honored to award you the Enron Prize for Distinguished Public Service.
Power business continues to grow up 25%. They continue to sell the company as being a very stable place where it could predictably increase profits 10 to 15% a year. In fact, to get to those numbers, Enron was doing all sorts of questionable things, taking enormous risks.
We like risk because you make money by taking risk.
By all accounts, Enron was soaring. But in reality, profits weren't going up. They were headed in the opposite direction. Enron had vast natural gas operations all over the world. They had cost billions to build, and most were performing terribly.
But in other places in the world, in India, great quarter and great year in India. Phase 1 of Dabhol is in operation, generating power. Phase 2 is financed and is under construction.
My experience indicated there were certain places that you assiduously stayed away from, and one of them, as an example, was India.
They built this power plant in India. Nobody else would do that at the time. They were terrified of investing in India. Enron did it, and did it in a big way.
But Enron had failed to see something basic. India couldn't afford to pay for the power Enron's plant produced. Now, Dabhol is a ruin. Though it lost $1 billion on the project, Enron paid out multi-million-dollar bonuses to executives based on imaginary profits that never arrived. Where was the real money going to come from?
Of course, the pressure was enormous. You had to come up with the next idea that would break through. Failure was not an option.
A flurry of buyouts in the corporate world. The biggest, Enron, announcing a buyout of Portland General.
The merger with PGE put Enron in the electricity business, and Portland General's position on the West Coast gave Enron access to the newly deregulated market of California.
The merger, we think, it uniquely positions us to ultimately become the largest marketer of electricity and natural gas at both the wholesale and retail level nationwide.
What brought all this on was with deregulation. They said that we would not survive unless we joined forces. Enron, I'd never heard of them until they were going to buy us. They slid in here, and when they purchased PGE, all the PGE stock became Enron. Just went through, stamped every one of them. I looked around me, and all the guys that were buying all this Enron, they were doubling their money. And that whole time since then, I put the maximum I could into my 401 and savings.
Portland General, again, good earnings and cash flow.
It's what they call in Wall Street a trust me story. People that had been gas pipeline workers for decades kept all their money in the company because they thought it was as traditional and safe an investment as it had always been, and it wasn't anything close to that.
Should we invest all of our 401k in Enron stock? Absolutely. Don't you guys agree?
Another one.